Thank you, and welcome back to David Mackey's Shiny Side Out, show number 617, 710, and 600. That's a lot of numbers. That's right, you're right. A lot of content there over the last 2,000 years we provided for you. This is listener-funded radio, which means you get to support us, and please do if you can, the station that is. Donating anything is good, including crypto, but if you can't, that's okay too. Just tell people about the station. Maybe a particular program you like. Maybe you like Solaris, maybe you like Gerbear, maybe you like us. Plato's Cave and the Shiny Side Out, they're good. And people can listen and make up their own mind and donate if they feel so inclined. We are indeed talking about the hypothesis and have been for the last 17 odd shows. 18 really, and we were talking about the pineal gland. So it sort of comes down to that tiny little thing in the middle of your brain, at least from what we can tell. It has it seems to have a very special place both in our brain, as well as in our culture and in our mythological and I guess sacred understanding of how everything hangs together, really. And it seems to be, in fact, the place potentially through which we enter this realm and maybe even exit it. See, for the longest time, you have to wonder, let's say for a second here that in fact we are in a matrix type scenario, for argument's sake, right? And we're either here by accident, or we're here by design, maybe against our will, or maybe we've forgotten why we're meant to be here, whatever the case may be, but we can't get out, right? In the actual Matrix movie, it was a fairly simple thing. You had to make a conscious decision by taking, either the red or blue pill if you wanted to stay or go. And that's all your mind needed to be released from the matrix into which it had been plugged into. Your mind makes a conscious decision, free will, as it were, to leave the matrix. And then your body would be ejected, and then hopefully Morpheus would come and fish you out of the water. In our world here, it seems to be maybe a little bit more complex than that. So the thing is this: we could fly until the end of the universe and not escape this reality, right? Think of it as like a huge, cage to which there's no end. At least not in the physical world as we understand it, not in our familiar dimensions. But maybe, just maybe, we can escape within. There's a couple of maxims. One is a military maxim. If an enemy is attacking you and you only have a cave at your back, and the enemy is pressing you, what do? You can't escape. You're stuck in the cave. So what do? The correct answer is to go deeper into the cave. Go deeper into the cave. And then there's like this Zen koan, like a riddle, a Zen Buddhist riddle. If your enemies are coming at you from the front and the back, from left and right and up and down in every direction, where do you go? And the answer to that riddle is you go within. Go within. So a lot of these mystical practices are about conditioning your mind, not your body. That's a side effect. This is about conditioning your mind, your faculties, your ability to think and concentrate and focus, and even lucid dreaming, etc., come into it. You're trying to change your brain, your very brain chemistry, through meditation. And we know that Buddhist monks do. They have different brain functions, a different brain physiology even, to normal people, because they meditate so much. Same with the yogic practitioners of Hindu faith, etc., etc. So these practices exist, and they are conditioning, really, your mind, your brain, to be different to most people, more disciplined, more focused, more able to achieve what you need to achieve. And then again, in a dream state, if you're a lucid dreamer, you're halfway there. Very lucky if you are. Because in the dream state, many believe, we enter the real world. Right? A lot of ancient cultures believe that we live a dream and dream a life. Right? And interchangeably, this, what we call reality, is a dream, and in fact our dreams are the real world. So, and it seems, and this is not something that Dave and I are saying here, right? But it seems that the pineal gland is at the epicenter of that thought. It is where the third eye is sitting, the spiritual chakra, right? It's identified as sitting right there where the pineal gland is, and it is a singular gland. There are two of it, just a one. Whereas most things in the body, some exceptions of course, but most things in the body are at least a dual in nature. It's a redundancy. Even your brain hemispheres, you got two of them, right? Two lungs, two kidneys. The exception is probably the heart, but you could argue that the heart is a it's a chambered organ, right? Which has more than one chamber. So maybe it's a fused kind of thing where it was maybe more than one organ once, but now it has fused into one. Two eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils.
We have 2 brain hemispheres.
Yeah, and you're in fact bisymmetrical as a creature. Right? In fact, most things are bisymmetrical. In no matter if they have 4, 8, or 6 legs, doesn't really matter. But there's usually symmetry there. Okay, so much to all of that. Dave, why don't you take us into the text?
Okay. I've detoxed my pineal gland and understand how important it is. How do I activate it? Good question. Opening the third eye. Powerful ancient practices for activating the pineal gland and expanding consciousness by Mantak Chia and Joyce Thom. Balancing and activating the pineal gland is a foundational practice for expanding consciousness and restoring the health and vibrancy of the physical body. The fundamentals of pineal gland activation, balancing the endocrine system. In both craniosacral work and Taoist practice, the endocrine system is a critical gateway joining physical function with spiritual experience. The endocrine system includes the following glands: the pituitary, pineal, hypothalamus, thyroid, parathyroid, adrenals, pancreas, and ovaries/testes. These glands use hormones rather than the electrical impulses used by the nervous system to affect changes in our body, emotions, cognition, and energy. Hormones are chemical messengers that circulate through the body via the bloodstream and coordinate critical body functions. They increase or reduce nerve impulses and can also act as neurotransmitters. The hypothalamus or pituitary relationship, Mecca, you can take the next one. Although the pituitary gland has often been referred to as the master gland because it appears to control the endocrine system, the hypothalamus plays a more crucial role in this system than previously thought. The hypothalamus receives and integrates information from the rest of the body and then secretes the neurohormones that release or inhibit key pituitary hormones. By signaling and directing the pituitary, the hypothalamus plays a critical part in the endocrine system and is important in a larger sense for the pineal gland activation. Mecca.
The functions of the pituitary in physical health and spiritual awakening. The anterior lobe of the pituitary secretes 7 key hormones that are related to lactation, the release of testosterone, and the production of sex, thyroid, and human growth hormones. The posterior lobe does not produce hormones, but stores and releases 2 important ones made in the brain: oxytocin and vasopressin. Oxytocin fosters maternal instincts, bonding between mates, trust, and sexual pleasure. Vasopressin influences circadian rhythms, the reabsorption of water into the bloodstream, and also stimulates paternal protective and caring instincts. The pituitary relates to our growth, and its health is also important for pineal gland activation. When it begins to vibrate in synchrony with the pineal gland, we are inspired to grow and renew ourselves both physically and spiritually. The pineal gland is located in the center of the brain, behind and above the pituitary gland. Because the pineal is bathed in highly charged cerebrospinal fluid, CSF, and has more blood flow per cubic volume than any other organ, except the kidneys, it may well be the gland with the highest concentration of energy in the body. In addition to its high concentrations of CSF and blood, the pineal gland is also the dominant source of the body's melatonin. Now, why is that important? Melatonin is significant for its effects on our mood, immune function, circadian rhythms, and the quality and quantity of our sleep. Melatonin is known as an anti-aging and anti-stress agent because it suppresses cortisol and is a powerful antioxidant. The production of melatonin by the pineal gland is activated by darkness and inhibited by light. Once released, melatonin circulates through the brain via the CSF and enters nearby blood vessels for distribution to the rest of the body. When melatonin levels are disrupted, people can experience mood swings, depression, and seasonal disorders. It is really critical to sleep in darkness, right? And not to expose yourself to too much blue light before you sleep either, right? Because all of that can inhibit melatonin. Serotonin and other consciousness-enhancing neurochemicals secreted by the pineal gland. In addition to producing melatonin, a healthy, activated pineal gland also metabolizes other neurochemicals that coordinate physical and emotional processes on a cellular level. These neurochemicals, including pinealine and DMT, are said to connect the mind and body. The pineal plays a key role in the production of these neurochemicals because it has one of the highest concentrations of serotonin in the body. And serotonin is a critical precursor to both of them. Dave?
Spiritual aspects of the pineal gland. Given its important role, it is not surprising that a healthy, activated pineal gland has been connected with spirituality for millennia. Its pine cone shape is found in art and artifacts, as Becky and I have previously mentioned over the last 17 other episodes of this cycle, that of many ancient traditions include this, where it's associated with enlightenment and immortality, for instance. Ancient Egyptians revered this tiny gland and even preserved it separately during the process of mummification. With its spines and spirals, the pine cone illustrates a perfect Fibonacci sequence, symbolizing growth and the unifying force that underlies creation, all embodied in an activated pineal gland. The pineal gland, key to opening the third eye. Spiritual traditions, I'll have one. Spiritual traditions associate the pineal, I'll start again. We'll fix it in post. And hello to you, Comet, live radio. Spiritual traditions associate and activate pineal gland with the opening of the third eye of inner vision, insight, and wisdom. scientific research is beginning to validate the relationship between the pineal gland and vision. Comparative research into the anatomy, physiology, and biochemistry of the pineal gland and the retina across a wide range of animal species suggests that the two organs share evolutionary and developmental paths. Modern living fossils such as the tuatara, that'll do, have a photosensitive pineal eye with a rudimentary lens, cornea, and retina. Other species such as frogs and lampreys also have pineal eyes. In humans, pineal cells resemble retina cells in composition and in the presence of proteins not found elsewhere in the body. Pineal light sensitivity is common across diverse species and in humans is connected with the opening of the third eye. Melatonin and the spirit molecules. In terms of spiritual experience, melatonin quiets the body and mind, allowing access to higher consciousness. Both pineoline and DMT secreted by a healthy, activated pineal gland are psychoactive, causing changes in perception, mood, consciousness, cognition, and behavior. Pineoline enables visions and dream states in the conscious mind and has been used by ancient Egyptians and Zoroastrians in their rituals. It assists in DNA replication and is said to resonate with the pulse of life at 8 cycles per second. DMT is produced in the pineal gland during sleep meditation and extraordinary conditions of birth, sexual ecstasy, extreme physical stress, and near-death experiences. It alters our dream consciousness when it is released into the bloodstream during rapid eye movement or REM sleep. DMT links the body and spirit because of its relationship to visionary experiences and non-ordinary states of transcendent consciousness. Dr. Rick Strassman calls DMT the spirit molecule. Meki.
The pineal gland and vibration. The activated pineal gland can also influence our experience through vibration. You know what Tesla said about vibration, right? As we saw earlier with the heart, rhythmic vibrations can have a powerful effect on our cognition, emotions, and physical state. We know this intuitively and we experience it directly when we sense the effects that music has on our mood, memory, and physiology. In the early 1980s, the French musician Fabien Maman researched the effect of sound vibrations on cells. He found that sounds can destroy cancer cells and invigorate healthy ones. Today, it is common for parents to play classical music to stimulate brain development in their children before and after birth. Rhythm entrainment, also called resonance, happens when two waveforms begin to oscillate together at exactly the same rate. When the hypothalamus and pituitary entrain with the pulsing vibration of the pineal gland, our whole system can shift toward harmony. Taoists believe that the North Star is the source of the original pulse. Vibrations from this star were crucial in the evolution of the first forms of life on Earth. It is said that Earth's ability to support life is related to the planet's tilt toward the North Star, rather than being oriented directly toward the sun. This orientation maximizes the habitable surface and optimizes the environment for plant and animal life. Because of the North Star's strong power and influence, many Qigong exercises intentionally connect with the North Star. According to Taoists, the North Star emits pulsing vibrations which affect and activate the pineal gland. When the pineal gland pulses in synchrony with the North Star, it receives cosmic information and relays it to the hypothalamus and pituitary through resonance. In turn, they send messages to the heart, which communicates with the rest of the body through its own electromagnetic pulsing. Sorry, just gotta pause here for a second. Now, music, which is one of the great mysteries of existence. I mean, what purpose does it serve? Right? Similar to sleep. I mean, we still don't know why. I mean, what's sleeping good for anyway? No, but music is it doesn't have substance. You can't touch it really, right? I mean, you can touch the musical instruments, but a musical instrument and even sheet music and all of those things, they're physical manifestations of a phenomenon which is more than just heard. You feel music. And music can make us feel certain ways. Our emotions are almost a slave to music. I'm sure you all have a favorite song. Or when you hear something, it sets you in a certain kind of mood. Or maybe, it heightens your ability to exercise. Certainly, in the olden times, this when marching music was used to get the troops in the right state of mind. Because these marches, I don't know if you're familiar with them, but very 17th, 18th century marches are powerful pieces of music, and they really rile you up. They quicken the blood, if you will. And I always thought that in the next state, in the next higher state of existence, just like we have, I guess, air here and bird song or whatever it might be, I believe we may be able to hear, just as a matter of existence, the cosmic music. Because the thing is this, everything vibrates, right? And sound, of course, is just vibration in the medium. That's all it is. And music, of course, by extension, is exactly that. So imagine a state of existence where you can hear the music of existence, where we can hear, of course, right now we can only hear some vibrations, but imagine being able to hear grass grow, or the vibrations of molecules, or subatomic particles, or distant stars. Just imagine, because it all vibrates, but imagine being able to hear it all. And what I find interesting as well is that the Taoists, as well as Greek practitioners, which are very much prosecuted in China at the moment, because I think the Chinese see them as a real threat to their power because of the ancient knowledge they have. They have incorporated that into their I guess practices and belief system. The North Star reference is specifically interesting. Right? And we'll get into that in some other show, I think. Now, let's talk about magnetic fields and the pineal gland. Besides being sensitive to light and vibration, the pineal gland activates in part due to exposure to magnetic fields. Studies with birds and other animals conclude that the pineal gland monitors magnetic fields and assists the body in orienting in space by acting as a navigational center. And look, we know that birds do it, carrier pigeons, etc. We know they have got a magnetic sense. This magnetoreceptive capacity also explains why geomagnetic storms and environmental stress can affect the pineal gland, leading to problems with circadian rhythms and melatonin secretion. Now, just bear with me for a second here, want to depart from the text again. Just think about the electromagnetic soup that we all live in every single day. And it's going to get worse. Right? I mean, 4G, 5G, wireless this, radio waves, right? Microwaves. We've got so much stuff going on, right, that we can't see, but that clearly seems to affect us on a very basic level. And it certainly affects other animals as well, right? This electromagnetic soup that we wade through every day. Do you ever go out into the country and away from technology, away from radio transmissions and all of that, telephones, nothing, just into the countryside, a desert, a mountain, I don't really care. Do you feel different? I think you do. I think you feel maybe lighter, or like something has lifted from you, or maybe you can think clearer. And that's because all those electromagnetic stresses that you perceive, right, not consciously, are gone. And you are clearer. You actually are clearer. because that stuff is no longer there to interfere with you. Okay? Anyway, back to the text. As the text discussed earlier, the heart generates a strong electromagnetic field that permeates the whole body. When the heart is activated with the high frequencies of love and compassion, its electromagnetic field is amplified and expanded. The pineal gland's sensitivity to electromagnetic energy causes it to begin vibrating and activating in concert with the heart. As these two organs entrain together, their high vibration opens the third eye to greater inspiration, intuition, and inner vision. Because of the pineal gland's connection with the spatial orientation and circadian rhythms, our perception of space and time often shifts when the pineal is in a highly aroused state. Such experiences have been mentioned by meditators and Qigong practitioners for millennia, and researchers are providing explanations for these phenomena. Really important to understand that this is fundamentally affecting the quality of your life, how you treat yourself. Do find yourself a quiet place. Find yourself a quiet place and just be in the moment, reflect, right? Shut out everything else, and ideally in a Faraday cage if you can find one. But that's my suggestion. Sorry, Dave. Tell us about the crystal palace.
Well, I was first going to say because you mentioned this in the piece about frequencies that you remove yourself from everything.
Yeah.
And how do you feel? And then you've got the opposite, where you've actually submerged yourself into certain frequencies. And I added into the chat just for us, Mackie, that music was determined to be too good for us and was detuned so that it wouldn't resonate. And as early as, say, 1885, the Music Commission of the Italian government declared that all instruments and orchestras should use a tuning fork that vibrated at 440 hertz, which was different from the original standard of 435.
Huh.
And probably the best waves, the competing 432 used in France. Now, 432 hertz is actually beautiful healing music. It seems to harmonize with us, with humans, and it's a good experience. Not saying that it sounds entirely pleasurable. Most of it's designed only around 432. If anything you're looking for on YouTube, for instance, to heal yourself or to listen to, synchronize your hemispheres, a whole bunch of really healthy things for you. You just type in 432 space HZ and you'll get a whole bunch of great examples of what that sounds like to you. And it's not using the same musical zeroed scale at 440. It's detuned. So whether you detune it up or you detune it down, it's irrelevant. So anyway, there's a conspiracy out there that suggests that, without going too far down that rat hole, the theory says that tuning all music to 440 turns it into a military weapon.
Wow.
So it's actually doing us a non-favor, a disservice to listen to it. And once again, remember, steering us into fear porn, always not feeling kind of right, is a perfect way to control us.
Mm-hmm.
If we all felt like, singing Kumbaya and eating mung beans, Mackie, and, sunshine, lollipops and rainbows, then how could they control us if we were all happy?
Oh, yeah.
That's a very good point to make. I'm not saying that I subscribe to it, but you can actually hear the difference. So there's a few DJs that I remember from way back in the 90s who would slow the record down just a tad so that it could get into this feeling and come away from the regular tone of that, middle A, for instance, and turn it down to the right frequency, which is really interesting, by 8 hertz from 440 to 432. So think about what you can do. In the olden days with turntables, you could actually change the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Can't do that now so much. DJs could, but not at home. You can't change the frequency of the music you're listening to. So yeah. Anyway, I'll press on with the Crystal Palace. Just leaving with those thoughts. Hypothalamus, pituitary, and pineal. A Taoist practices the region of the brain bounded by the pineal, the pituitary, and the hypothalamus glands is called the Crystal Palace. The Crystal Palace sits between the left and right hemispheres of the brain and between the forebrain of reason and the hindbrain of instinct. Many meditation practices mention the Crystal Palace, but some people have difficulty sensing it because these structures are inside the skull and cannot be touched directly. So it's hard to picture in your mind where they are. Mind the pun. However, with little practice, it is simple to connect with and activate these spiritual glands through our awareness and intention. The location of the pineal gland is often described as the center of the head, as it is at the level of the eyebrows, above and behind the pituitary and hypothalamus. Behind the eyes, the optic nerves cross at the optic, don't know that
Chiasm.
word. Chiasm?
Yes.
Well, it's like chasm. It's got an extra eye in it, an unnecessary eye. Oh, that's the third eye, Mecky. Below the optic chasm or chism is the pituitary gland, which sits in the sella turcica of the sphenoid. Above and behind the optic schism is the hypothalamus. And I'm sure if someone's into anatomy, then I'm just pronouncing and mispronouncing it all over the place. Don't care. All right, the pineal gland and its relationship with light. All three glands of the Crystal Palace are extremely sensitive and responsive to light. Prior to 2002, science was aware of two forms of light receptors in the eye: cones for colour vision and rods for low light vision. In 2002, however, scientists discovered a third photoreceptor, cells in the retina that contain a light-sensitive pigment called melanopsin. These cells send messages to the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the SCN of the hypothalamus. The SCN is responsible for controlling circadian rhythms, which influence our sleep, alertness, hormones, temperature, and digestive functions. When the hypothalamus receives information about the presence or absence of light, it signals the pineal gland to activate and to start or inhibit cortisol and melatonin production. Variation in melatonin levels causes a cascade of changes in the SCN, pituitary and retina. The pituitary also responds to light through its release of vasopressin, which influences the SCN to adjust our circadian clocks. In addition to the light detected by our eyes, studies now show that the whole body acts as a light receptor. Light shining on any part of the body can be detected, signaling the SCN and pineal gland to shut down melatonin production. Because there is so much ambient light these days, our systems rarely receive deep relaxation that occurs in total darkness. Many people find that removing light sources from the bedroom can help in optimizing sleep cycles, improving general health, and powerfully stimulating pineal gland activation and rebalancing. Mackie, right before you take it, I was always I could never find a perfectly dark room. Never. where in my house, my normal house where I'm not at the moment, we have that luxury of a perfectly blacked out room. There is no street lights anywhere near us, and we can have effortless sleep. Perfect blacked out sleep. You can't see anything when you open your eyes in the middle of the night. Your eyes have absolutely no ability because there's no light. Only if there's a full moon or something, right? Should we be lucky enough to get that. But it's not something I've ever been totally comfortable with, though. Isn't it extraordinary?
Interesting.
I don't feel comfortable sleeping in a totally blacked out room. But I think there's a book about that.
I'm sure there's. I was lucky enough when I couldn't sleep until it was completely black.
Wow.
When I was younger, and now it's there's a lot of ambient lights where I'm now, and it's hard to get a complete dark room in that way. But I remember wanting to be in complete and utter darkness. Opposite to you, oddly enough. But yeah, it is enough for your skin to be exposed to light.
Yeah, that's extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah, so it really is. So sleep masks aren't really going to help you terribly much. But now we're going to talk about how to actually do this. And I urge our listeners to find whatever works for them. Go on the internet, look for practices to activate the pineal gland, harmonizing the crystal palace. You can put those search terms in. Find what works for you. Some are more arduous than others. Some are easy. Right? Bear in mind that the ancient mystery schools to this day have sacred rituals in complete and utter darkness. The ancient Egyptians did it, and then many other secret societies and, as I said, traditions do it to this day. You have to be in complete and utter darkness. Ideally, if you can have access to it, a sensory deprivation tank would be perfect. If you find yourself in a position to spend an hour or two in there a day, if you can, that will do wonders for your overall well-being, I guess. But make sure it's a floating one, right? You float, no sound, no light, and I think you will find the experience stimulating. Now, but there are some practices here by the Qigong or Qigong practitioners, and they consist of very simple elements like breathing or tapping, and they can be used to activate the bones and glands of the aforementioned crystal palace. The first one is breathing. And look it up yourselves, but there are various breath practices to move the pumps, activating the pineal gland and pituitary glands, as well as stimulating the flow of cerebrospinal fluid. Breathing is said to ionize the CSF and therefore increase its potency. So look at, and this is probably the most fundamental thing, breathing. And that's something that none of us do really well. Like, what? That sounds like crazy talk, Maggie. But no, it's not really. It's funny if you sing, if you've been trained to sing, or if you play an instrument that requires your breath, right? Or you're a public speaker, maybe actor, actress, you are taught to breathe. If you do martial arts, you're taught to breathe. If you're a high-performance athlete, you're taught to breathe. Because in moments of stress, do you know what the first thing is we do? We stop breathing. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing, the very first thing. Breath is the fundamental of life. Okay? Breath. Atem. And it is the one thing that many of us do wrong. Completely wrong. So find yourself maybe something that you can pursue, be it meditation, martial arts, or otherwise, and you will find yourself breathing easier and better, and you'll be able to breathe through stressful situations. Because let's say you're in a stressful situation, whatever it might be, but it's a lot of stress on you, and you feel anxious, and you know, you're holding your breath, and you breathe in gulps. If you can actually breathe through it, the stress, it'll go away. It's something that you're creating yourself. You are creating it yourself. So control your breathing. I teach my daughters, they're old enough now to relax when they sleep, or you know, just before they go to sleep. I tell them, lie there on your back or whichever, and completely relax your body, relax your arms, your feet, your back, and just breathe in and out, in and out, and only focus on your breathing. Focus on your breathing. That's the most important thing. In and out. It calms you, and they find it easier to fall asleep. Martial arts is really good, teaching you how to control your breath. Because if you don't, you can't fight. Because if your body doesn't get oxygen, you can't function. And they say you've got 3 minutes without breath, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. Now these are just, you know, rules of thumb. Some say 7, doesn't really matter. But breath, of course, is the most important one. And your brain, if your brain doesn't get oxygen for 30 seconds, you black out. In fact, less than 30 seconds. If you disrupt the blood flow to your brain, and therefore the oxygen, you will black out. Okay, so if you get in a chokehold, that you're out like a light. So you can see the importance of air and oxygen in our system. So that's breath. Tapping is another one. You can gently tap your forehead between your eyebrows, all right, to activate the pineal gland and all the 3 structures of the crystal palace. So there's just tap where your eyebrows meet, yeah, at the top of the bridge of your nose. The vibration sends a wave directly back to the pineal gland, activating it in the process. You know, all of this is called opening the third eye. That's what we're doing. The same vibration also moves through the bones to the sphenoid, which in turn stimulates the pituitary gland that rests in the sella turcica. The vibration of the pituitary awakens the hypothalamus through the pituitary stalk. Toning or chanting. Now, chanting is really powerful. Okay, and if you haven't done chanting, even like nonsense chanting, you know, like it's actually a really good one, believe it or not, in The Wolf of Wall Street, right? And what's his name, the actor? The name escapes me, but he's sitting there with Leonardo DiCaprio, right?
Leonardo, yeah.
Yeah, he's sitting there. Yeah, he plays the broker, and Leonardo had just started work there, and that's what it is. So he's beating on his chest while sort of making these guttural sounds, like I'm doing now. And you do that enough, and I do it a lot actually, you will find yourself. So I'm making up my own chants. You can do the same thing, but do it. And it's a powerful instrument. You really feel connected. I don't know what it is. I don't know how it works, but you really feel connected, right? And you can imitate Native American chants or Asian chants. It doesn't really matter. Recently, I went to Singapore and I bought myself a little a speaker which has 35 pre-recorded chants on it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I put it on, and my son goes to sleep like delight. It's wonderful. Next time I see you, I'll show you the thing. And you just charge it with USB, and then it's like literally it's just I guess it's a memory stick with a speaker. Is what it is, right? So, and those chants are really really cool and very. How can I put this? I really like listening to them. It's quite peaceful in a way. Anyway, next time maybe on Plato's Cave I'll play you guys a couple minutes of chant, or 30 seconds or so. Anyway, so the chanting is really important, right? Chanting the 8 forces of the Pakua to draw in elemental energies is an exceptionally powerful exercise for activating the crystal palace. There's this a book called Cosmic Fusion. Cosmic Fusion, Destiny Books 2007. Cosmic Fusion. There's a complete set of instructions there on how to chant the 8 forces. Then there's pressing. Pressing your tongue to the roof of your mouth activates the pituitary gland, and through its physical and chemical connections activates the pineal and hypothalamus as well. Now, a lot of the things I'm telling you here, you can find out yourself. There's some things here I can't tell you because I was asked not to tell you, right? Not you specifically, just people. These are things that can only be spoken of in certain circumstances, right? So if you are in a position to become a member of a Taoist community, I suggest that it's probably not a bad idea to understand these practices better, and in fact to have your third eye activated in the ritual. Just a suggestion. You do what you do what you want. Dave, tell us about squeezing.
When we squeeze our eyes, the muscular connection with the sphenoid activates the pituitary. Sucking in our cheeks moves the jaw, which stimulates the neck and cranial pumps. Contracting the anal sphincter and perineum sends vibrations to the muscles that envelop the anus and form the pelvic floor. From the pelvis, the vibration then travels up the spine and dural tube to the occiput. The intracranial membrane system transfers the vibration to the center of the head, activating the pineal and pituitary glands. Now we have number 6, which is spiraling. Spiraling movements such as spinning the pakua, the Tai Chi symbol, or the dantians, creates an electromagnetic field that energizes the CSF and enhances the power of the heart field, thereby activating the pineal gland and other glands of the crystal palace. Number 7, being in darkness. Darkness triggers increased production and release of melatonin and eventually of pinealine and DMT as a result of its effect of activating the pineal gland and helping to stimulate function of and open the third eye. Meki.
Laughing and smiling. This might seem trite, but smiling opens both the heart and the crown, allowing more light to penetrate while also increasing the vibration of the organs. Laughing and smiling reduce stress and relax the body, which increases the flow of qi, which is really just your life energy. Laughter also triggers the release of endorphins, promoting feelings of well-being. Relaxation increases blood flow, which amplifies the effects of the hormones released in the crystal palace and has an effect on pineal gland activation. I can't say this often enough, right? Laughing and smiling, if you can, right? If you're that kind of person, are probably the best things you can do for yourself and for others. They say that, laughing and smiling adds days to your life. Right? The more you laugh and smile, especially if smile comes easy to you, right? and belly laughs as well. Like, real laughter that is laughter of joy, look at your children. I'm talking young children under the age of 5. They're usually either crying or laughing. Okay, that's sort of the world they inhabit. A really simple world. But when they laugh, they really give themselves over to their laughter. You ever notice that when you tickle them, that's all they focus on. That's all they focus on. It's just laughing, but really, really deep laughing. And it also increases the oxygen flow in your body significantly. The final exercise or practice here is focusing. Since energy flows where our attention goes, bringing our attention to the structures of the crystal palace will activate them. So this is sort of intentional direction of energies. Right? So if you meditate or just even focus on the center of your head. So try to close your eyes, put your tongue to the roof of your mouth, and just try to imagine the pineal gland or the entire crystal palace complex in the middle of your skull. Right? Now, most of us don't have any control over our internal organs. We just don't. It's just something that happens autonomously. Imagine if, apart from walking and talking, you also had to control your digestion, your breathing, your blood. It's just, we'd be falling over all the time, I can tell you. But the practitioners of these arts, especially the yogic masters, they actually have control over, an amazing amount of control over their internal organs. It really is. I've seen some studies, and I've spoken to people, and I've seen some things demonstrated where I thought that's something else entirely, right? And that control can also extend to other people. I don't know if you have seen spirit surgeons. They're quite prevalent in South America, but they're elsewhere as well, where these people, I guess, these shamans, healers, whatever you call them, are able to operate on people just with their hands. So they reach into the body, open the body up, remove tumors, or other matter for that matter, and close it up again without any wounds. There's plenty of blood and some stuff they removed, and I've seen it, right? And you go, wow, this is either the best sleight of hand ever, or there's really something here that I just don't understand. And I remember this very clearly. There's a Michael Palin, whom I admire greatly for his travels, right? But also as an actor. He went to South America, and I think he was in Brazil. I don't know, but he was in a favela. I think it was Brazil. And he saw in a poor neighborhood, he saw this spirit surgeon work. And he was a complete skeptic, right? But the whole thing was filmed, right? And so you can't see everything, but there was quite a bit of blood and stuff that was taken out. And Michael Palin went into the room watching it, and then came out, and he was visibly shaken. He was visibly shaken. Again, this is a travel show, right? This was not. I mean, this was just one of the things on the road that he was looking at, and you could see he was trying to rationalize what he had seen, right? And he was trying to explain it, but it sort of his words failed him in the end, and he just because I don't know. And there was no antiseptic stuff, there was no scalpels, there was nothing, right? And phenomenal stuff nonetheless.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah. See, and look. 2 minutes. Shoot! All I can say is placebo effect, right? In this case, but you know, now, but this is important. The general advice. The Tao also emphasizes the importance of good diet and hydration. We are 70 to 80% water, and water is highly conductive. To increase the activation of the pineal gland of the crystal palace, sufficient hydration is critical. Okay. Additionally, a good balanced diet high in tryptophan is helpful in providing the building blocks for these important biochemicals. Tryptophan. Okay. Tryptophan is plentiful in many foods, including chocolate, seaweed, almonds, bananas, dried dates, sesame seeds, chickpeas, and peanuts. Peanuts. All right. Now, it is also suggested, I'm saying this now, not the text, to follow a vegetarian diet, but a sensible vegetarian diet. That's important. And to really, I mean, exercise, of course, is not crazy exercise, but you know, active body, you know, and making sure that you're healthy. But hydration is really critically important. I suggest, you know, look, I don't know how big you are, but you know, 2 to 3 liters of water a day, don't go astray if you can. And next week, I think, Dave, might be the last week of the hypothesis.
Woohoo, Mickey! That's great.
I know, right? And
we can
yes,
challenge that.
Well, look, Yeah, no, look, yeah. Ooh. Yeah.
There we go. Well, that's the end of another day of Mecky's Shiny Side Out. Coming up next is usually Jer Bear with his awesome show. Not sure if he's around. And whatever comes up is going to be awesome. And look, we're going to see you for 7 o'clock a.m. breakfast on Tuesday and Thursday Eastern in the US. Till then, be safe.